Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jared O 11 Green. Just wanted to come in and do a little show or basic feedback on what's going on with the transfer portal situations going on across college football. And I have here my co-host, more than my co-host, my brother, Coach 67 Sports TV. And I also have my other co-host, JB. And we just gonna come together. We're just gonna speak to what's going on. It's been crazy, man. It's been it. I mean, I don't know where to start, y'all. But we have to chop it up and talk about it. Of course, first before we get started, shout out to the mighty LDBC Lions Den boxing community. Shout out to 78 Sports the General and them other brothers who's been soldiering along under that brand. Also, shout out to Coach 67 Sports TV. Please subscribe to this brother. He's also a new uh, content creator. He's trying to build his channel. So if you're in Louisiana, and you're a Southern Jaguars fanatic like him, please, you found your man. Go ahead and subscribe. Show this brother some love. So, what we're gonna do here is first, let's go ahead and get it out the way, y'all. So, and that's the wrong slide. So let me remove that. But I know you guys heard about what's going on with Colorado, man. And I know we're going to touch on a little bit of the HBCU schools, but mostly we're going to talk about Coach Prime and his Colorado Buffalo situation. I'm just interested in that, on how that's going to work out. Basically, if those who don't know, those whose head has been in the sand, Coach Prime, basically, I read somewhere he lost so far almost 46 players to the transfer portal. That's crazy, man. And then,
damn,
yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Even where Hall of Famer, I forgot, was it Steve Young? He might have said he may have shot himself in the foot getting rid of so many players. But me personally, I think Coach Prime kind of knew this was going to happen. And he knew that he's going to have to kind of make a way, fill the roster. But this is a mountain he's going to have to climb. What you think, Coach?
Bro, I'm gonna keep it real. There's no way, even though they had a terrible season last season, there's no way he gonna fill all of those voids for all of those players that have left his program. Even if he was able to transport all the superstar players he had from Jackson State to Colorado, bro, it's still a talent gap. You know what I'm saying? So you can't lose that many players, even if they are 2 and 3 star players. You can't fill that many holes before the fall gets here. And to be truthful, you know, people just under the impression that he coached Prime, he could wave this magic wand, and he gonna get a bunch of 4 and 5 star recruits. You might get them for the fall of 24, but we talking about the fall of 23. Bro, you're not gonna
right now, man. Yeah.
You're not gonna fill that many holes that quickly. So, I mean, I know you say he live in a transfer portal, bro, but I don't lie, bro.
That's what he said.
Like you said, that Steve Young said. Essentially, I think he shot himself in the foot because, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know the team wasn't good, but I think from the outset when he left J State and he went to Colorado, they're like, bro, you robbed some of those players the wrong way. You offended them. I mean, I understand some of them might have been arrogant, and their arrogance might not have lined up with the type of player they were in terms of the talent. But even with that being said, like, you can't just assume that you're going to replace, you know, that many players through the transfer pool. I'm sorry it's not going to happen. So I'm going to be truthful, bro. You know, at first I was saying the first season he had at J-State when he played during that spring, you know, after COVID, you know, after quarantine, I was like, well, he was going to have a
You cut out, Coach. And backwoods got him. But Coach, if you can hear us, hold that thought. We're gonna come back to you. Hey JB, what is your take on this?
Like, you know, I echo you and Coach 67's statement. I think he bit off more than he can chew, man. He came in and, you know, cutting players. He gonna bring this players in and take this players out and do a switch, a swap. Because now the like you said, the transfer portal is popping now. Everybody's in the transfer portal, but I think he didn't he didn't think he would run into this. Like you said, we don't know. You know, we just talking.
We
He may
just
have
talking, ladies and gentlemen. We don't. It could, you know, Coach
he
Prime
might have
probably
some
not even,
plans.
you know, worried about it, but it is a. If I was in a position, I ain't gonna lie, I would be worried a little bit. Not gonna lie.
But he has that power, like you say he got. So he's a believer in God.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see what happens.
Definitely. Coach, we lost you there. We had some backwood audio issues. But what's good?
Well,
But go ahead.
basically what I was saying is, bro, there's no way he's gonna be able to fill that many holes. And initially, what I was saying was, when he initially took over Colorado, I thought his first season at Colorado was gonna be comparable to the first season he had at J State when he started in the spring. But I'm at the point now, bro. I'm gonna be truthful. I think he might have a similar season of what they had this past season, maybe even worse. If you're losing that many players, and he's not gonna fill that many voids with that.
You said a mouthful, Coach.
Yeah, I'm being honest, bro.
Cause we was talking about it on the last show, right? Basically how the boys are what we saw from the scrimmage game, that they already look small, and now most of those players that we were critiquing or whatever are leaving. So it's not only that, one of his best receivers, Montana Lamonius Craig, jumped in the portal right after the game.
Damn. And I think he scored too.
Yeah, he did. He had like 150 something yards in the scrimmage. Like he had a long touchdown. And
Man,
then,
what Prime over there saying to them boys?
man, look, Coach Prime was basically, I think he had like a little interview, and basically he said that he didn't tell him anything. He basically, they basically did that themselves.
He people could say what they want. When he first got to Colorado, he was kind of brutally honest, you know, and I think he just offended a lot of players by being that way. And in addition to that, you know, the same thing happened with Southern. You know, Trey Lang had a good spring game, and then he entered the transfer portal. Scenery, maybe they don't like the way they're being coached. Maybe your coaching style online. So maybe they just won't leave. So nothing always has to be wrong for them to won't leave, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's and you cut out there a little bit, Coach. But yeah, this is gonna be a huge task for Coach Prime to try to get talent in to fill in to compete in the Pac-12. Pac-12 is already competitive, as we know. They may not be able to beat the Alabamas or even the Ole Misses, the Tennessees, you know, but they're able to compete. Those are pretty good football teams. As basically as if we're talking about roster wise, you know what I mean, and talent.
Like we said last show,
Mm-hmm.
their goal is about 5-5. Get just being around 500. Just like Coach said, just like he did his first year with Jackson State when they had the whole COVID situation happen.
Honestly, bro, I think at this point, I think that 5-5 will be a stretch. I think that's a little bit unrealistic. I think they're gonna have a season comparable to what they had this past season, with all those players leaving. You know,
So they're gonna be like 1-10.
honestly, that's the way it's looking. I mean, there's no. Just think about it. Look at all the holes he has to fill, bro. Bro, I mean, even if he is Coach Prime, where you gonna find this amount of 2, 3, 4, 5-star players in that short amount of time, bro?
Let me ask y'all, and hold your thought, JB. Let me ask both, and I want you to start, JB, with the when I asked this question. How much, as regard to the players leaving, how much is it Coach Prime, and how much is it regarding to the players just wanting to leave because they can't cut it with Coach Prime's old school coaching method?
I think it can be both. And then sometimes I like Prime, but I think he talk too much sometimes. Preaching, you know, I say that about my favorite linebacker, Ray Lewis. Preaching too much, and God tell him to shut the hell up. So we don't know what, you know, Prime over there doing is saying he gonna have, because you know he said this at the beginning of the season that he's gonna have his people come over. So we don't know if he had, like you and Coach said, if you're gonna have people replacing those peoples he leaving, or he's just being Prime. We don't know. We don't know what's going on. But that's a lot of players leaving though. But it can be both. It can be, like, to answer your question, it can be prime, and it because the players don't. Something happened where the players don't see themselves as, being part of the team. So, to my mind, it has to be he's bringing in some other people. It has to be.
And I'm gonna add to that question. I'm gonna come to you, Coach. It also could be the conditions, the environment, right? Colorado, high altitude, and then it gets really cold. And the reason why I said that, the reason why I think this could be a factor, I'm not saying that's the case. I was watching a, Colorado football, Coach Prime YouTube channel, right? That's, that was there at the scrimmage. And basically he was saying that a lot of the 5 stars and 4 stars that came to visit was saying, man, it's cold as hell. So now a lot of people were asking, after the departure of a lot of players, was it also the environment? Like, I can't, just keep in mind, a lot of Florida boys that's used to, playing in 90 to even sometimes 100-degree weather, sunny weather, or Texas boys, are like, I can't do this cold stuff. What you think, Coach?
Well, to answer your initial question, I think it's a combination of the two. Because, the three of us was talking off air, and, where I'm at now, it's kind of been an administrative transition, and I've been to like a few schools where we had a change in administration, and then in many instances when somebody new comes in, it's like they try to lay down the law and they try to put their foot down and so on and so forth. And basically, people in position of authority, they always realize you have to treat people the way you want to be treated. And just seeing his initial press conference at Colorado, bro, I know he ruffled a lot of feathers. He rubbed a lot of players the wrong way. He came off as like harsh and abrasive. You could be direct, but you don't have to be blunt and rude all the time in terms of the way you deliver your message. So I think it's a combination of both. I think he kind of rubbed a lot of players the wrong way, for one. But, on my channel, I did a video talking about how, and we talked about this, like, I think the 4-hour show we had with my you, Jay Good, and myself, where we talked about, how in the mid to late 90s, how Southern program was, and how basically Coach Richardson, he feasted off of players transferring from LSU to Southern. Well, I think we live in a different day and age where, we live in an instant gratification, microwave society. Players, they won't play as true freshmen. They're not willing to wait.
Absolutely.
Like, till they junior, senior year the way they did back in the day. They won't play now. And it could be the least little thing. Like, for example, a wide receiver that went to Prairie View that transferred to Southern this past year, supposedly behind the scenes, he left the program to run track because he felt like he was being coached too hard. So, bro, it's, sometimes you don't have to do anything major to offend some of these players. This is the landscape it is, where the landscape in the days and age, a lot of these players are soft. And if things not going their way, they're ready to jump in the transfer portal, which might not always be in their best interest,
Right. And we in the last show, we made that example with like Bishan McCray, who is a gifted athlete, don't get me wrong, but as far as a quarterback, jumping in the transfer portal may not benefit him. When there's quarterbacks that's on current rosters right now that are way better. And you made that great point, Coach. A lot of these kids are not of the old school mindset of I'm a sit or I'm a split carries or catches or sub out in linebacker packages or defensive lineman packages. I want to start now. So a lot of players, young, a lot of players, they're betting on themselves and want to go somewhere and shine. But here's the harsh reality again, going back to people like players like Rashawn McCray. How many of them can actually go somewhere and start and be the man? And I bring them and feeding off of what you just said, and then bringing past conversations up, right? A lot of players they don't. I don't want to say they don't have it. A lot of them they're better off staying where they're at. And I was watching a YouTube channel, and he was saying the guy was saying that basically most of the Colorado players that are leaving are like not even starters. I don't know how much of that is true, but but we've seen like players like Montana, Lamonius Craig leave, and guess who also left, guys?
Who?
For a second time.
Yeah, the wide receiver. I can't think of his name.
No, not a wide receiver, defensive back.
Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking he played from that J State.
He played J State, and then he transferred.
Name, and
Coach Prime recruited him to Colorado, and he jumps in the portal again. Tavion Beasley.
Yeah, and bro, just to kind of piggyback off what you just said, you made an excellent point. But the thing about it is, people don't understand. Like, if you play like in the mid to late 90s, bro, like especially if you play quarterback, bro, a lot of these quarterbacks want to get to see the field till like their junior year, and some of them sit for 3-4 years, and they'll transfer their senior year, or if they graduated, then they would transfer, just so they could start 1 year as a quarterback, because they didn't have as much 7-on-7 as they do now, and players didn't get to play year round. So you had to wait until at least your junior year to get on the field, so you can learn how to read coverage and understand the game. So it's like the microwave society we live in, bro. These kids, they want it now. If they can't get it now, they're ready to move on. And like you said, using the Rashawn McCray example, a lot of these guys, bro, they better off staying where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. JB, what's your feedback on all this?
It just gonna go off what Coach said, and I'm gonna bring North Carolina into this. You remember we had a dude named Storm Duck.
Yeah, cornerback. Yeah,
cornerback. He went over there, and he went over there with Penn State, and I guess he had a bad scrimmage. He got mad or something, and he jumped in the transfer portal. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of these players are going to shoot themselves in the foot when they realize, like you guys said, they don't understand that sometimes you got to stay somewhere and get better. You know what I'm saying? Not all the grass is not greener on the other side, and what it looks like, you going to a team that you might start. You might start because that team is terrible. You see what I'm saying? So, we just gonna have to see with these players, especially with not Jackson State, but Colorado and the rest of these teams that got a lot of players that are jumping in the transfer portal. It's gonna be interesting to see on how these rosters look.
Yeah, everybody wants to join. Join the. Everybody want to get their shine, but the question is it your time yet to shine? Maybe you have to sit down and learn something. That's my only feedback. I'm not against these players going to seek a better opportunity if they know in their heart they can get a better opportunity. But if they're moving because of impatience and they want something now, and like Coach 67 Sports TV said, this microwave generation, then it's a you may run into a roadblock, and where you may have to swallow your pride and be like, you know what? I know I'm talented. I know I'm a good player, but I'm not as good as I thought I was in the reference of IQ. So I need to get somewhere and learn something and
Learn the
grow my
playbook,
game. Playbook, technique, all that.
Because I mean, instant gratification is not always the best thing, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to get a delayed gratification. And like JB was saying, he literally stole the thought out of my head. The grass is not always green on the other side,
It's not.
and I want to bust y'all head with this one. Y'all, I'm gonna ask both of you and Coach something, Jared. You think the NIL deals, or did I say that right? Is it the NIL?
Yeah, it's in that NIL.
Yeah.
Y'all think the NIL deals somehow? It's just a question. It might be right or wrong, or may not have anything to do with it. Do y'all think that has anything to do with why some of these players moving around?
It could be. A lot of players think they could, if they ball out somewhere, they can earn a deal. That may be a thought in the back of a lot of these players' mind, but a lot of it mostly is these players want to play. These college kids want to play and start and shine mostly. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, I agree with you, and and JB brings up an excellent point because I made a video similar like earlier tonight, but it was from the Southern University perspective, and it was the same points I brought up in that video is the same points that I brought up several months back when it was you and Jay Good and myself, and I talked about the evolution of players transferring from LSU to Southern in the mid to late 90s, and after COVID, the transfer portal era that we're living in now. And one of the subscribers pointed out how basically, if you look at the two front running teams in the SWAC East, they kind of have NIL money that some of the lower tier teams in the SWAC like Valley really don't have that at their disposal. So it gives them a competitive advantage. So some of these guys, if they jump into the transfer portal, like Jared said, that could kind of be a factor. But more than anything, these guys, they see the handwriting on the wall. They know they're not gonna really get no run in Colorado. So they jump in the transfer portal to go play somewhere else. But the thing about it is, unless they're looking to go to like a lower tier school, maybe like a HBCU or a Division II school or whatever, I hate to say it, but if their team was that bad, a lot of those guys are gonna get stuck in the portal,
Yeah, that stigma of that one and was 111 or 1-10.
I think it was 111 if I'm not mistaken.
That stigma of that 111 squad is going to stick with most of those players, and most of these other teams. I'm just being real. Like, why would I need you? You wasn't part of a winning program, and you helped be a part of that losing effort. So why would I put you on my squad?
Yeah, bro. And the crazy thing about it is a lot of those guys, if they stayed in Colorado, they might not have been a starter, but they might have been able to contribute. But if you're stuck in a portal, you can't do anything,
No, not at all. And don't get me wrong. There's been great players on losing teams. So we're not questioning the individual talent of the players, but that's how a lot of people think. That's how a lot of people who's going to look in the portal. A lot of the recruiters, excuse me, from the other schools that are in the portals looking for talent to fill up their roster. That's what's going to be in the back of their mind. Coach, and speaking of Jay Good, and I'm gonna go to you first. You being a coach, actual coach. Jay Good sent me a article about Coach play. I think it's a tight end, basically saying, tweeting actually to all the, to everyone, and he's referring to the recruiters from the other schools. If you're basically, I'm ad-libbing. If you're trying to pick me up, I don't have any film to give you because Coach Prime is not releasing my film. What do you think of that? And is he allowed to do that? Is he being petty? What's going on there?
I mean, I think there's a certain degree of pettiness to the situation, but you have to realize, I always bring this up how, Coach Pete Richardson was living off of transfers from LSU to Southern, but at a certain point, Nick Saban put a block on it. So, basically, even though you might have been buried on the depth chart here at LSU, and you weren't going to ever see the light of day, I don't want all of these players leaving LSU to go to Southern. So, after this year, we're not signing off on the more players transferring from LSU to Southern. Now, you could transfer to Grambling. You could transfer to McNeese or Nicholls State, but y'all not going to go across town and go to Southern. And essentially, that's what Nick Saban did. Now, over the years, that ban has been lifted, but I don't know if people noticed. Nick Saban put that block after LSU won the national championship and Southern won the Black National Championship that same year. He put the block on Southern, and then guess what? Like 5 years later, Southern ended up pushing Coach Richardson out the door. So you cannot tell me that didn't have any impact or effect on Coach Richardson's recruiting or in terms of, Southern's like drop off in terms of talent. So it's petty to a certain degree, but from my understanding, I mean, he's well within his rights to do that. And if the kid is real good from a social media standpoint, I think he can garner interest and he can still get on somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think it's feasible that he probably could withhold his footage because, I've heard similar stories about, players from LSU trying to transfer to Southern. I mean, there was this one running back. I don't remember his first name. His last name was Parquette. And, Saban kind of stroked his ego and let him play. But then he didn't play him again. Once he realized the kid wasn't going to transfer to Southern, after he massaged his ego, then he didn't play him none the rest of the year. Right. I'm like, bro, you could have just let the kid transfer to Southern for that.
Right. So you're saying what Coach Prime did in a nutshell is like an old coaching tactic. Like old petty. Even though it's petty, a lot of coaches before him have did that. We're not saying it's right or wrong, but a lot of coaches have done this.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of Nick Saban doing it a lot, in those LSU days in terms of, not allowing players to transfer to Southern or whatever the case may be. And I've even heard of him, doing it, I think there was a player that wanted to transfer from Alabama to Georgia. And they wouldn't sign off on him transferring from Alabama to Georgia. So those type of things happen, bro.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're not saying we're experts on this. We're not saying that we know the rules, if he can do it or not. We just giving our perspective, and Coach being the coach, he's just giving his opinion of what's going on. So we could be wrong. So if we happen to be wrong, it is what it is. That's why we had these conversations. But But
Hold up, bro. I don't mean to cut you off.
mhm.
Hey, if we are wrong, then just give us our thoughts and let us, know your perspective in the comment section, so we can
Very
open up
good.
dialogue.
And hit the like button. Just don't you waste your time watching the video. You can move on to something else. Well, we appreciate you anyway. But JB, what is your opinion on Coach Prime not releasing film?
And before I answer the question, I'm gonna take a page out of Black Fight Fan book. Y'all hit the like button and stop looking at us, you weird jokers. But with that being said, it's petty as hell. Petty as hell. I know that can be a coaching standpoint, but that boy moving on because there's something that I guess something that he was promised that he's not getting. He thought he was going to be the main starter, and he's not. And now he's trying to hold on to him, just like Coach said. He made it look like that boy that played running back for LSU was going to get some carries and play them a little bit so he won't transfer to Southern. But then he put him back in the stable. So that's petty. Old strategy or not.
Okay. All right. Well, we definitely love your perspective, man. Yeah, I thought it was kind of petty, but like I said, we don't know the rules, what can and cannot be done regarding that situation. But I definitely thought it a little petty, even though I like Coach Prime. And I wish he can, and the second part question, which is part of the title of the show, does Coach Prime have something up his sleeve with all this going on? And we know Coach Prime said in the beginning that he's gonna basically he said it without saying it. He said he's gonna weed the people that's not gonna be that doesn't want to be there out. But did he even think that some of the plays he may have wanted was going to go? But even with this going on, does he have something up his sleeve? What you think, Coach?
I don't think so, bro. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know he has a plan and a strategy in terms of he's trying to put his imprint on the program, and he's trying to get his type and his caliber player there. But, bro, that's a gradual process. That's why in many instances you give coaches, 2, 3, even 4 years of recruiting to put their imprint on the program and gradually turn it around. You can't make no complete 180 overnight, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've seen, like Pete Richardson, he took a team that Gerald Kimball was struggling with, and he won a SWAC the next year. But the thing about it, that was a senior-heavy team, And I think from a philosophical standpoint, I think Gerald Kimball had the right ideals, but he just couldn't put it all together, and Coach Richardson was able to do that. But the point I'm trying to make is, bro, that's a gradual process. Even though he has a plan in place, bro, he just can't wave a magic wand and transform that program from a bottom feeding team in the Pac-12 to a national championship contender overnight. It's a gradual process,
And Steve Young, and I believe it was Steve Young, he tweeted this. He said, it's a gradual process. It's not going to happen overnight. Basically, what you said. And he may have, overwhelmed himself, basically. JB, what is your perspective on this? If Coach got something, if he knew this was gonna happen and he got a plan for it.
I mean, like we spoke on earlier, man. He a man of prayer, like we is. He probably praying, and he probably got something. He probably has players that's coming. Okay, he probably does, but only he knows. But at the same time, it doesn't look good. So
They don't. Yeah.
we just gonna have to see how this plays out. Long story short.
And we're rooting for him. We hope he does well. We just giving our opinion. Us being football fans, being fans of Deion, was rooting for him at Jackson State, but that's not gonna stop us for saying if he made a bad move or we think he did some shady stuff. We're gonna speak about it. But we support this brother. We hope he does well, man. Because I don't want him to have a bad season where, just being real, him being the black man, the racist media is gonna be, see, that's why you shouldn't, that Negro be coach. He, being flashy, big mouth, you know what I mean? We don't want to create, I don't want that narrative to be created, which is already being created. The flashy, flamboyant black man made Colorado worse. And I don't want that to happen. I guess that's why a lot of people are kind of side-eyeing this the amount of players that are jumping in the portal from Colorado at this point. But I mean, there's still the off season, technically, and fall will be upon us in a couple months. But I mean, technically, it's not football season yet, gentlemen. So we'll see. We definitely will see. But I just wanted to hop on here and just speak on this subject that has his YouTube streaks on fire right now. Just want to give my perspective with my co-hosts, my two co-hosts here, and give their perspectives. And again, it's our opinion. So if we said anything that you disagree with, if we said something wrong, hey, that's why we have this show. We can speak our mind. So,
hey, not only that, but like I said, if you disagree with something, we open the dialogue and discussion. Put it in the comment section.
Yes, sir.
Put it in the comment section. Don't just be looking at it, and hit the like button, man.
Yes, please hit the like button. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Coach 67 Sports TV, let everybody know where they can find you and what you got planned.
You can find me at Coach 67 Sports TV here on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, on all social media platforms. I'm doing a similar video. Actually, I uploaded it earlier, transfer portal, but it's just strictly from a Southern University perspective. Talking about Trey Lang and Jason Greathouse, how they entered the transfer portal and how it's affecting the SWAC, and it's just affecting the landscape of college football across the board on all levels. So, check that out. I'll catch y'all on the rebound. Y'all have a blessed, phenomenal evening. Peace and blessings, and shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC.
And JB, thank you for hopping on with us, man. I really appreciate you giving your perspective.
No problem, man. Y'all be blessed out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, that's been another installment of Southern Baller Show. Y'all have a blessed night. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Peace and blessings.